Welcome aboard, my name is Vic, and today I'm gonna show you how you can start building an amazing computer from scratch. I have all the components in here in order to start a gaming computer. Stay tuned because I'm gonna go step by step on how to put all these parts together. So let's begin.
Alright, we're gonna start with the MPG X570 motherboard from MSI. We're gonna take it out of the box and remove the plastic. Inside of the box, you're gonna find the screws for the M.2, the manual, the driver disc, but you can always download that online, the Wi-Fi antenna, and the SATA cable. Next, we're gonna install the Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro. I recommend reading the instructions for the manufacturer motherboard for the best RAM configuration. Now we're going to install the ADATA 2TB Swordfish M.2. In this motherboard, we're going to remove the shield where we're going to install the M.2. We're going to put the M.2 in place and screw it in. On the back of the shield, we have a plastic that has to be removed. We're going to put all the screws back for the M.2 shield. Up next, we're going to install the CPU Ryzen 3700X. On the motherboard, we're going to lift up the latch and we're going to align the little triangle on the CPU and install it inside of the motherboard. Just make sure that all the pins fall in place. Now we gotta prepare the case. The way this case works, you gotta remove the panels, you gotta lift it up or push it up upward in order to remove the glass. And we're gonna do the same on the other side. Here we have the base for the hard drives. Now that we have all the glass removed, we're gonna remove the back panels. This is where we're gonna hide all the mess and cables. But you guys will see we're gonna do a great job at organizing all these cables. In the hard drive bay, you will find all the screws for the motherboard, zip ties, we're going to install the motherboard inside of the case. You can tilt the motherboard in order to make it fall in place on the back. These are the screws for the motherboard. And we're going to install them on the little circles here. We're going to install the wires that came with the case into the motherboard. For this specific case, we're going to install the one for the fans and the USB 3.0. We're going to find the 3.0 USB header on the motherboard. Some motherboards are placed in different locations, so make sure that you read the instructions. We gotta remove the shields in order to install the fans on the bottom. Up next, we're gonna install the Corsair water cooling. For now, we're gonna align the fans to see where we gotta screw them. As you see, that's where the flow of the fans are gonna go. Now we're gonna install the second fan. And we're gonna fish the wires on the back of the case. We're gonna put the radiator on the top and then we're gonna screw it in. Now we're gonna install the plates for the pump. For this motherboard, we have an AM4 and you will see that in the little bag. So we're gonna install these plates into the pump. This plate will make sure that it will attach to the plastic that came with the motherboard socket. We're gonna put in these little screws and screw them in with the, I'll say it's like a knob. The motherboard has two little plastics where we're gonna put in the metal piece in order to hold it, and we're gonna screw them in. We're gonna fish the wires from the water cooler fans to the back of the case. It also has a SATA power, which will provide the power from the power supply to that connector. We just connected the wire that goes from the pump into the USB header. We're gonna fish that wire from the back of the case into the bottom of the motherboard. Now we're gonna install the bottom fans. For these fans, we're gonna trace all the cables to the back of the case. We gotta connect the fans to the RGB hub that came with the fans. Up next, we're gonna install the Corsair power supply. We're gonna connect all the cables for the CPU, motherboard, SATA power, and graphics card. Now we're gonna move the power supply to the bottom of the case. Just make sure that the fan is facing down. I trace all the cables from the power supply to the front of the case. In this case, you will see that my wires are white, and that's because I actually use a sleeve connectors. Then we're gonna connect the CPU and motherboard cables. For now, we're gonna leave the graphics card cables like that because we're gonna install the graphics card next. For the graphics card, we have an MSI Gaming Trio RTX 3070. This graphics card comes with a mounting plate in order to hold the graphics card properly in place. Now we're gonna remove the back plates in order to install the graphics card. Just make sure that you don't remove the first one. I made that mistake and then I realized that later, so I had to put it back. Once you put in the graphics card into the PCI slot, just make sure that it is all the way in. Then I removed some of the screws in order to install the support bracket. And then I put the screws back. In this section, I'm connecting the wires for the graphics card. I actually had to rewire them a little bit different, so that way they were closer to the graphics card. Alright, we're almost done! Finally! So we're gonna rewire everything on the back. And I know it's kinda hard to see all this mess, and the way that I do it is by putting some of this wire by groups. I actually tie them up with the zip ties on some of the Velcro straps. Now that we have all the wires organized, I'm gonna put the back plate in order to hide all the cables. And that's it.
We just finished building this computer, and I just want to say congratulations on learning on how to build a new computer from scratch. It takes a lot of time to build a computer like this, so I appreciate if you press the like button. That way people like you can find this type of content. Well, that's the video for today. See you next time.